Hello and welcome. Before installing SQL Server 2025, it is important to understand the hardware and software requirements. These requirements ensure SQL Server installs correctly, runs smoothly, and performs well for development work. We will start with hardware requirements. Processor SQL Server 2025 requires a 64-bit processor. The minimum processor speed is 1.4 GHz. For development work, a faster multi-core processor is recommended. Memory or RAM. The minimum required memory is 2 GB of RAM. This is the absolute minimum. For a better development experience, Microsoft recommends 8 GB of RAM or more. More memory improves query performance and reduces delays. Disk space. The minimum disk space required is 6 GB for the database engine only. For development projects, logs, and backups, at least 20 GB is recommended. Using an SSD drive instead of a traditional hard drive greatly improves performance. File system SQL Server requires the NTFS file system. This is standard on modern Windows systems, display and networking. The minimum display resolution is 800 by 600. Networking must support TCP/IP. This is required for SQL Server connections. Software requirements. Now let's look at the software requirements. Operating system SQL Server 2025 supports only 64-bit Windows operating systems. Supported versions include Windows 11, Windows 10 version 16.07 or later, Windows Server 2016, Windows Server 2019, Windows Server 2022, Windows Server 2025. 32-bit systems are not supported. Windows updates. Windows must be fully up to date. All Windows updates should be installed before running the SQL Server installer. This prevents installation and compatibility issues. .NET and Windows installer required. .NET components are included with Windows when updates are installed. Windows installer version 5 or later is required and is included in modern Windows versions. PowerShell and browser Windows. PowerShell version 5.1 or later is required. A modern web browser such as Microsoft Edge, Chrome, or Firefox is recommended for tools and documentation. Administrator rights, administrator privileges are required to install SQL Server. You can either log in with an administrator account or use Run as administrator when launching the installer editions specific notes. SQL Server 2025 provides multiple editions for learning and development. Enterprise Developer Edition is recommended. It includes all enterprise features and advanced AI capabilities. Developer editions are free but not licensed for production use. Important reminders: SQL Server 2025 supports only 64-bit systems, requires sufficient RAM and disk space, performs best with SSD storage, depends on Windows being fully updated. Meeting these requirements ensures a smooth installation and stable performance. Conclusion: understanding hardware and software requirements is the first step to a successful SQL Server setup. Once these requirements are met, you are ready to proceed with installation. Thank you for watching.